One morning, as Emily was getting ready for school, she casually mentioned something that would soon send her family's lives into turmoil. "Daddy," she said, her eyes wide with excitement, "I see Mommy at school every day." John paused, his heart skipping a beat at the mention of his late wife. "Who, sweetheart?" he asked, his voice trembling. Emily beamed. I see her, Daddy. She's always there, watching over me in the schoolyard during recess. Sometimes she even waves at me." John fell silent for a moment, but then he took a deep breath and gave Emily a hug. "You know that's not possible, sweetie. Mommy is not here anymore, remember?" he told her with a gentle tone, not wanting to upset her, but she wouldn't hear it. "You don't have to believe me, Daddy, but I know it's her." He felt the tears prickling in his eyes as he sighed, but in the end, he just told his daughter, "Okay, darling, if you say so." It had been just the two of them since Sarah, the love of his life, passed away after a tragic car accident. He was still heartbroken because of it, and she was constantly on his mind, day after day. However, he knew he needed to move on somehow. It was the best for both him and Emily to do so. Of course, this didn't mean they should ever forget about Sarah, but they needed to continue their own lives, even without her there. So, after some time of mourning, John returned to work and Emily went back to school. It seemed like the right thing to do. At first, John thought that he had made the right choice. Emily seemed to be having fun at school, and their psychologist also thought that school would be a good distraction for her. Everything seemed to be going great, really, but then, this one morning, Emily told her dad that she'd be seeing Mommy at school. After dropping her off at school, John immediately requested a meeting with their psychologist, and luckily, she was available for a telephone appointment later that same day. Both John and Emily had been seeing Dr. Harper after they lost Sarah, and she truly helped them through the grief and gave them the support they needed to get back on their feet. During their phone call, John told Dr. Harper what Emily had said earlier that day, and she explained to him that it was perfectly normal for children to say those kinds of things after losing someone close to them. It is their own way of coping with the loss, she explained. Immediately, John felt the relief wash through him. There was no need for him to be worried. So, when he picked Emily up from school that afternoon, he simply smiled when she told him that she had seen Mom again. She didn't dwell on it long, and she quickly continued to excitedly tell him about all the things she had done in school. John was glad that he had spoken to Dr. Harper about this, and he wasn't worried anymore. But this would soon change. Over the next few days, Emily continued to tell her father about seeing Mommy at school. John still didn't think much of it, and he thought that Emily was just making things up. But one day, he started to doubt that. She told him, "Mommy gave me a cookie today. It was delicious." John raised an eyebrow when he heard this. "What do you mean, Em?" he asked, and she repeated what she had just said. John's eyes widened as he thought to himself, perhaps she isn't making this up. Before he even realized what he was saying, he asked her, "Well, what kind of cookie was it?" "It was a chocolate chip cookie. My favorite," she replied with a happy smile. John's worries, momentarily allayed by Emily's cheerful demeanor and their shared memories of Sarah, surged anew with a peculiar detail. A simple smudge on Emily's shirt. This stain, seemingly inconsequential, became the catalyst for an unforeseen revelation that would shake the foundations of what John believed to be mere figments of his daughter's imagination. The casual mention of a cookie from Mommy transformed the stain from an ordinary mark of childhood messiness into a beacon of alarming reality. John's reaction, a blend of disbelief and dawning horror, mirrored the gravity of Emily's innocent admission. This moment, bridging the gap between imagined tales and tangible evidence, thrust John into the heart of a mystery that was all too real. As the evening's calm shattered under the weight of Emily's words, John stood on the precipice of a truth that promised to unravel the fabric of their lives. Talking to teacher Laura. "Daddy, don't be silly. I already told you. Mommy gave it to me," she said with a confused look. John decided that the next morning he was going to go into the school with her and talk to her teacher. He needed to know if she was telling the truth or just making it up. How else would that stain get on her shirt? "Miss Laura, do you have a moment, please?" John asked Emily's teacher as he dropped her off at school the next day. She joined him just outside the classroom as the other pupils were arriving, and John started, "Emily had been saying some strange things at home. She's probably just making it up, but I wanted to be sure, you know." Miss Laura's curiosity piqued at John's hesitant confession, her eyebrow arching in silent query. John, suddenly aware of the absurdity his words might carry, battled the urge to retreat. Yet, compelled by a mix of concern and commitment, he shared the unsettling claim. Emily had been seeing Sarah at school, despite Sarah's mysterious absence. Glancing towards Emily, lost in conversation, John nearly dismissed the claim with a laugh, ready to chalk it up to a child's vivid imagination. However, the sight of Miss Laura's shocked expression halted him. Her request, voiced with a calm urgency to continue their discussion in private, hinted at layers of untold stories and truths lurking beneath the surface of John's simple observation. This exchange, teetering between disbelief and the dawning possibility of a deeper narrative, sets the stage for a compelling exploration of hidden truths and the lengths to which individuals go to uncover or conceal them. In her office, Miss Laura shared with John that a woman, strikingly similar to Sarah, had been seen lingering near the school grounds on several occasions. "She's always around during recess," she explained, her voice laden with concern. "We thought she was a new parent at first." John felt a chill down his spine. The idea that someone resembling his late wife was so close to Emily, yet unknown to him, was both confusing and alarming. John's mind raced as he asked, "Has anyone else seen her? Do you know who she is?" Miss Laura nodded, mentioning that other teachers and a few parents had also noticed the woman. No one knew her identity, but the descriptions matched. A woman with Sarah's gentle eyes and soft smile, always watching, never interacting. John's heart pounded at every shared observation, each one echoing his own disbelief and curiosity. As John left Miss Laura's office, the image of Sarah, or someone remarkably like her, haunted him. He couldn't shake the eerie feeling that accompanied the thought of his late wife's doppelganger, so near to Emily. At home, he pored over photos of Sarah, each smile and glance a painful reminder of what he'd lost and what he feared he was facing. The resemblance described was uncanny, troubling him deep into the night. The next day, John returned to speak further with Miss Laura. Together, they pondered the implications of this woman's appearances. "How has it affected the children?" John asked, concern lacing his words. Miss Laura admitted unease among the staff, especially about Emily's well-being. The idea that someone who looked so much like a child's deceased mother was inexplicably close was unsettling to everyone involved. Miss Laura assured John that the school took this matter seriously. "We'll keep a closer eye out," she promised. "If she appears again, we'll approach her and find out why she's here." John felt a small measure of relief, knowing the school was on alert. But as he left, the mystery weighed heavily on him. Who was this woman, and what did her presence mean for him and Emily? John began his investigation in earnest, turning the house upside down, searching through old photo albums and Sarah's personal effects for any clue that might explain the mysterious woman's identity. He studied each picture, looking for something he might have missed before, a detail that could shed light on the situation. Each memory was a mixture of pain and determination, driving him forward. Next, John reached out to Sarah's family. He made phone calls and sent messages, asking if they knew anything, or anyone, that could explain the woman's striking resemblance to Sarah. Most were puzzled, offering condolences and shared confusion but little information. Their ignorance was sincere, yet it deepened the mystery, leaving John feeling more isolated in his quest. John visited Sarah's grave, a place of solace and sorrow. He spoke to her as if she could hear, asking for guidance and any sign that might lead him to the truth. He left flowers, his eyes lingering on the inscription, feeling a profound sense of loss and an overwhelming need for answers. The visit offered no solutions, only a deeper commitment to uncover the truth. Determined, John contacted Sarah's old friends, arranging meetups where he could discuss the mysterious sightings. Over cups of coffee, he showed them pictures of Sarah, asking if they could recall anyone similar from their past. Each friend sympathized, trying to help, but no one could offer a concrete lead. The frustration mounted, but so did John's resolve. John sat late into the night, surrounded by photos, notes from conversations, and records he'd collected. He tried to form connections, to construct a timeline or a face that might match the woman Emily had seen. The pieces were scattered, the image unclear, but John knew he couldn't give up. Emily's well-being and his peace of mind depended on solving this puzzle, collecting pieces. In the heart of a growing storm, Miss Laura's words were a lighthouse for John's tempest-tossed spirit. The school, now a fortress of watchful eyes, pledged an unwavering commitment to safeguard Emily from the shadows that sought to breach her world. This solemn vow offered John a flicker of solace, a precious glimmer in the enveloping darkness of his fears. Yet, as he departed from the sanctuary of the school, John was ensnared by a web of unease. The path ahead was shrouded in mist, every step echoing with questions unanswered and dangers unseen. The specter of the unknown woman haunted his every thought, a ghostly presence whose motives lay buried in mystery. Amidst this turmoil, the promise of protection was a beacon, yet the burden of his dread lay undiminished, a relentless guardian of his heart's deepest fears. This narrative weaves a tale of concern and commitment, setting the stage for a journey through the shadows in search of light. As readers turn the page, they are drawn deeper into the mystery, propelled by the hope of unraveling the truth behind the enigma that threatens to unravel the fragile threads of safety and peace. Despite the overwhelming uncertainty, John held onto a thread of hope. He believed that with the school's help, they might finally uncover the truth about the woman. This hope was a lifeline, pulling him through the sea of doubts and fears. It was the belief that soon all would be revealed, and they could move past this unsettling chapter. But as the days passed, John found himself wrestling with a growing tide of doubts and fears. What if the woman had a sinister motive? What if he couldn't protect Emily? The questions plagued him, each one a dark whisper threatening to unravel the fragile peace he clung to. He knew he had to remain strong, but the battle was wearing him down. The school became a place of heightened awareness. Teachers, staff, and even other parents were on the lookout, all awaiting the mysterious woman's next appearance. John visited daily, his eyes scanning the faces around him, searching for the one that might hold the key to his turmoil. The anticipation was palpable, a collective breath held, waiting for the moment when the unknown would become known. During a bustling recess, Miss Laura's eyes caught a familiar figure talking to Emily from a distance. As she approached, the Sarah lookalike's features became unmistakably clear. Heart-racing, Miss Laura quickened her pace, intent on confronting her. But as she neared, the woman's eyes met hers, filled with a startling recognition, before she turned and swiftly disappeared into the crowd. In a moment that seemed to blur the line between reality and illusion, Miss Laura found herself in a futile chase across the playground, pursuing a figure that dissolved into the air, leaving behind only the echo of her presence. This fleeting yet profoundly disturbing, enigmatic woman cast a shadow over the once joyous playground, transforming it into a realm of whispers and unease. Amidst the confusion, young Emily stood as the heart of the mystery, her tears a poignant testament to the day's surreal turn. Confronted with the sudden disappearance of the woman she believed to be her mother, Emily's world was shaken to its core. Her simple yet profound questions echoed the haunting uncertainty that lingered in the air. "Why did she leave? Why did she run?" she asked, her voice breaking through the silence, a stark reminder of the innocence caught in the web of an unfolding mystery. Without hesitation, Miss Laura scooped up her phone and dialed John. Her voice was urgent, relaying the unsettling encounter and Emily's distress. John felt a surge of panic and disbelief. Dropping everything, he made his way to the school, his mind racing with every possible scenario. What was happening? Who was this woman? And most importantly, why was she approaching his daughter? John found Emily in Miss Laura's arms, still crying softly. He knelt down, enveloping her in a tight hug, his own heart aching at her tears. "It's okay, Emily," he whispered, though his voice trembled with more questions than reassurances. He held her close, feeling the weight of her sadness and his own, a confusing mix of concern, anger, and a desperate need for answers. John held Emily close, her tears dampening his shirt. As a father, his instinct was to protect and comfort her, to make her world right again. But another part of him, the relentless seeker of truth, knew he couldn't simply soothe her with gentle words. He was torn, caught between the immediate need to console his daughter and the urgent drive to unravel the mystery that threatened their peace. That night, John lay awake, the house silent, except for the ticking of the clock and the distant sound of Emily's breathing. His mind was a battlefield, replaying the day's events, each detail a piece of an unsolvable puzzle. He knew he needed a plan, a way to confront this enigma that had entered their lives. But the path forward was shrouded in uncertainty, each thought leading to more questions than answers. By morning, John's resolve had solidified. He decided to take a more active role at the school, to be present, to watch and wait. He arranged to take some time off work, explaining the situation as a family emergency. He would be there at drop-off, at recess, at pickup, watching for the woman who had turned their lives upside down, ready to act when she next appeared. Despite John's efforts to reassure her, Emily remained adamant. "It was Mommy," she insisted, her conviction unshaken. Her certainty only deepened John's worry. How could he explain the complexities of death and resemblance to a child who simply missed her mother? And how could he deny the possibility when he, too, had seen the uncanny likeness in the woman's fleeting presence? The weight of the situation pressed heavily on John. He realized that this was more than just a case of mistaken identity or a child's wishful thinking. There were too many coincidences, too many unanswered questions. He had to face the unsettling possibilities head-on, no matter how much they disturbed the fragile normalcy they'd built since Sarah's death. It was time to confront the truth, whatever it may be. John's days became a series of vigils, each moment at the school spent scanning the faces and corners for the elusive woman. He spoke to teachers, parents, even the occasional passerby, anyone who might have seen something. His eyes were always searching, always hoping for a glimpse that would lead to answers, his presence a constant fixture against the backdrop of school life. As the days passed, John's intense vigilance didn't go unnoticed. Parents whispered, and staff members shared concerned glances. They saw the strain in his eyes, the tireless determination that seemed to consume him. While some sympathized, others worried about his well-being, whispering about the toll the situation was taking on him. Despite their concerns, John remained undeterred. his focus unwavering. But as time wore on, the mysterious woman remained elusive. Day after day, John watched and waited, but she never appeared. The lack of sightings only fueled his frustration and confusion. Had she been scared away? Or had she never been real to begin with? The lack of answers, the silence where he'd hoped for resolution, gnawed at him, leaving a growing sense of desperation, the strain of obsession. With each passing day, the line between reality and imagination seemed to blur. John found himself questioning everything. Was Emily's account just a child's coping mechanism? Had his own grief and longing conjured a phantom from the recesses of his mind? The possibility shook him, a tremor of doubt that threatened to undermine the very foundation of his quest for the truth. John's obsession with finding the woman and protecting Emily began to seep into every aspect of his life. Friends and colleagues noted his distracted, distant demeanor. His work suffered, his social life dwindled to nothing, and even his moments with Emily were tinged with an unspoken tension. The situation was consuming him, the need for answers overshadowing everything else, driving him further into isolation. On a routine afternoon that promised nothing out of the ordinary, John's path intersected with that of the school's janitor, a man whose silence veiled a sharp observance. Amidst the backdrop of their burgeoning dialogue, the janitor unveiled a discovery that sent ripples through the calm of John's world. A locket, found in solitude, yet screaming of connections untold. This locket, unearthed near the ghostly appearances of the mysterious woman, held an air of haunting familiarity, striking a chord deep within John. The revelation served as an unexpected beacon, illuminating a path littered with questions yet to be asked, answers yet to be found. As the janitor recounted the woman's habits, each detail resonated with John, kindling a storm of speculation and memories. This chance encounter, bridging the present with echoes of the past, compelled John to peel back the layers of an enigma tied intimately to the locket, the mysterious woman, and the memory of his late wife. A journey into the depths of mystery, where the past's shadows dance with the present's light. As John turned the locket over in his hands, he couldn't help but wonder about the connection between Sarah and the mysterious woman. Could it be a relative he hadn't known about, a friend from Sarah's past, or something more inexplicable? The locket was a clue, a link to Sarah that couldn't be ignored. It held the potential to unravel the mystery that consumed his days and haunted his nights. John spent more time with the janitor, seeking to understand every detail of the woman's behavior and visits. The janitor recalled her distant demeanor, how she watched Emily with an intensity that was hard to decipher. He noted the time she appeared, the way she moved, and the sadness that seemed to envelop her. Each piece of the story added depth to the image forming in John's mind, a narrative taking shape from the shadows. As the evidence mounted, so did John's conviction. The locket, the janitor's observations, Emily's unwavering belief, it all pointed to a significant connection to Sarah. The puzzle pieces were coming together, forming a picture that was as unsettling as it was compelling. John could no longer deny the reality before him. This woman, whoever she was, had a profound link to his late wife, and he was determined to uncover the truth. Desperation drove John to Sarah's parents' doorstep, seeking answers only they might provide. He rehearsed his questions, each one a delicate probe into a past they rarely discussed. As he rang the bell, his heart raced, not just with the fear of what he might learn, but also with the hope that understanding lay just beyond the threshold. Sarah's parents greeted John with a mixture of warmth and wariness. As he broached the subject of the mysterious woman and the locket, their faces closed off, a barricade of old pain and secrets rising between them. They were hesitant, their words measured, revealing the deep discomfort and reluctance they felt, diving back into a past they had long struggled to leave behind. Despite their initial resistance, as the conversation continued, Sarah's parents began to drop veiled hints of a deep family secret intricately tied to Sarah's life. Their eyes darted away with every mention, their discomfort palpable. It was clear they were guarding something profound, a piece of history that held the potential to shed light on the enigmatic woman haunting John and Emily. Sensing the gravity of what they were withholding, John pressed for clarity. He pleaded for honesty, not just for his sake, but for Emily's as well. His insistence was a gentle but firm demand for the truth that lay buried in their reluctance. The air was tense, charged with the imminent revelation of secrets long kept in the shadows of the family's past. Finally, the dam broke. Sarah's parents, overcome by John's earnest pleas, began to unveil the tangled web of their daughter's past. They spoke of struggles and hidden pains, of decisions made and paths not taken. As they recounted stories and revealed truths, the image of Sarah that John had held began to shift, morphing into something more complex and heartbreakingly human. Amidst the unfolding stories and somber recollections, Sarah's parents revealed a startling truth. Sarah had a twin sister, estranged and long gone from their lives. The revelation hit John like a thunderclap. A twin, an identical mirror to the woman he loved, lost in the world somewhere. This news reshaped everything, offering a glimmer of understanding amid the chaos of the past weeks. The room spun around John as he tried to grasp the enormity of what he'd just learned. A twin sister. It made sense, yet it was almost too much to believe. How could Sarah never have mentioned her? The implications were overwhelming, each thought leading to a labyrinth of questions, doubts, and a deep sense of betrayal. He needed time and space to process this shocking twist, a new direction. Once the initial shock subsided, John's resolve hardened. He needed to find this twin sister, to understand her role in Emily's life and the reason behind her estrangement. He started with Sarah's parents, gathering any scrap of information they had, old addresses, possible acquaintances, anything that might lead him to her. Each piece of information was a potential clue on the trail to find the woman who could be the key to solving the mystery. Armed with newfound determination and a scattering of leads, John redirected his search. He reached out to private investigators, scoured social media, and delved into public records. Each step was a move in a new direction, away from the dead ends of the past and towards a possible reunion with a woman who shared the face of his late wife, but held a different story. As the search for Sarah's twin sister continued, John found himself coming to terms with the startling possibility Emily might have been seeing her aunt, not her mother. This realization brought a mix of emotions. Relief that Emily might not have been imagining things, but also fear and uncertainty about what this meant for their future. How would he explain this to Emily? How would this woman, if they found her, impact their lives? The questions were endless, but John knew he couldn't turn back now. As John's search intensified, a neighbor near the school approached him with information. She had noticed the woman resembling Sarah and, knowing John's situation, had kept a discreet watch. She provided a crucial lead, a car and a partial license plate. This piece of the puzzle was invaluable, narrowing John's search and reigniting a flame of hope in his weary heart. With the new information, John tracked down the mysterious woman. His heart pounded with a mix of dread and anticipation as he arranged to meet her. As he waited at the agreed spot, his mind was a tumult of emotions: fear, curiosity, and a desperate longing for answers. When she finally appeared, the resemblance to Sarah was uncanny, and for a moment, John was speechless. The woman, Sarah's twin, spoke softly, her voice laced with sorrow and regret. She told John of the estrangement, the years of separation, and the pain of learning about Sarah's death. Her recent return was an attempt to reconnect, to find some closure, and to see the niece she'd never known. Her story was a tapestry of lost time and heartfelt remorse, each word resonating with John's own sense of loss. Hesitantly, John introduced Emily to the woman. The moment their eyes met, a silent, unexplainable connection sparked. Emily's initial confusion softened into curiosity and a budding sense of kinship. As they talked, a new bond began to form, tentative and fragile, but real. The woman's presence brought a mix of emotions for Emily, a blend of the unfamiliar and the inexplicably familiar. In the days that followed, John, Emily, and Sarah's twin visited Sarah's grave together. Standing side by side, they shared memories, tears, and a quiet hope for the future. It was a beginning, a first step toward healing and understanding. As they left the locket with Sarah, a symbol of their united family, they walked away hand in hand, ready to face a new chapter together, their bonds strengthened by the past and hopeful for the future.